My name is Lisa Ma. I'm the creator of the Peace Cafe, and I love holding space and connecting the dots. I'm an intuitive, and I love connecting the dots. I'm also an energy weaver. I love crystals. I love everything about crystals. I love this conversation with Aimee and Ameera, because both of you are wisdom keepers of crystals, and I would love to have us share our experience. So with that, Aimee, would love to hear from you, who you are, and how you came into the world of crystals.
Okay, well, my relationship with crystals goes way back. My name is Aimee, and I own a company, or I co-founded a company called Intentional Healing Systems. And every product that we create has a crystal associated with it, because crystals maintain coherence. When you do healing energy work, if you put that energy into a crystal, it maintains the purity of that energy that you've distributed. We have a hard time doing that in our own energy fields because, there are a lot of factors that influence our energy. So crystals don't respond. Well, okay, let me take that back. If you prepare a crystal properly to contain coherent energy, it will do just that. So I've been working with crystals now for about 12 years. I'm an intuitive channel, and my training came from Beyond the Veil. I didn't really know much consciously about crystals when I started doing healing work. But I got kind of a crash course in managing and working with crystals and programming crystals. So that's what I've been focusing my attention on for the last decade or so. I have a lot of crystals. My home is like a crystal palace, but every single crystal I have is working. They've all been prepared, they've all been programmed, and they're all working for me. So it's pretty funny, actually, when people come into my house, they're like, what's going on here? It's like they stepped into a different dimension, because effectively that's what I've created here with these working crystals. Anyway, before I ever bring a crystal into my house, though, I clear it. That's the first order of business. And if I could just share one piece of wisdom with you today that I've learned about crystals, is that clearing a crystal when you bring it into your sacred space and preparing it to work for you is essential, because they are absorbent. If they haven't been worked with and they haven't been prepared, they are just absorbing energies that they're exposed to. So, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But if you clear it as you bring it in and set some intentions around that, then that crystal, you develop a relationship with that crystal and it works for you. So there's this little tool the spirits call it the golden flame of creation. And it's much like the violet flame. I'm sure, you can go on the internet, you can read about the violet flame. There's hordes of information out there. Some of it's accurate, some of it's not, but use your intuition. Anyway, the golden flame of creation is a harmless tool. It will never do any harm. It's basically, you just call on the golden flame of creation. It's divine energy that's delivered to you. And you can use your hand in a horizontal infinity configuration and just visualize in your mind golden energy coming into that configuration, and that clears. Okay. And again, it's completely harmless. It never will harm anyone or anything. You can use it at any time. If you're, offering it to someone else, it's just an offering. Like, you don't really have permission to clear their field unless they give it to you. But with a crystal, you just ask permission. May I clear you? Are you meant to be in my space? Can we have a relationship? And then you call in the golden flame of creation. And I usually count. I usually get a number in my head. Sometimes it's like 1,200. So I'm like, 1, 2, 3. but again, there's a trick with that too. I count to 100. And then it becomes, each one is 100. So I count to 100 and then it becomes 100, 200, 300. So I get a number in my head and then I use the golden flame of creation to clear that crystal. Then when I'm done clearing it, when I've reached my 1,200 or 15,000 or whatever it is, then I seal it. I call in the golden flame of creation, and in a vertical configuration, I seal that crystal. Okay. It's not the end all be all. I mean, you can go really deep into crystal clearing process, but it's a very basic tool that you can use to clear energy that doesn't honor you that's brought into your space in that crystal. So.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much. See, this is what I mean about the wisdom. And your home must feel so amazing with all that crystal energy, crystal palace. I love that. I love that. Wow. And I know that when I got your cards in the book, I felt the energy right away because you infused them, right? With crystals. And yeah, and it's all about intention, right? And aligning with it. I love that. And thanks to you, right, I got connected to Ameera, Beth, and I'm wearing wisdom wear.
Oh, I know you look so good. You look
and
so
I'm
good
wearing
in that color.
crystals too. And so, yeah, with that, I would love to, have Ameera share who you are and how did you come into the world of crystals and
Ameera Beth. Professionally, I go by Ameera Atlantis. Because part of my journey, my purpose is to return the wisdom and knowledge of the great kingdom of Atlantis and the Mer people, how the Mer people are connected to Atlantis. And so I came into, my specialty really is Andaras. All crystals are good crystals, right? They're all amazing. And I've spent, many years in my professional career connecting with especially Lemurians and Atlantean crystals and crystals of all kind, because, once you like step into the wonderful world of crystals, like it becomes kind of an obsession in some kind of a way, right? And I went through a phase in my life early in my awakening and my collecting where I just had to have a little piece of every single crystal that I could find. I didn't know what they were all called, what they did. And I just amassed this like huge collection of just a little piece of this or a little piece of that or a bunch of this, just to like learn and figure out like, what is it with these things? Like, why do we love them so much? Why are we so attracted to them? And why do I feel so good when I have some of them on me or around me? And I think that's all part of just about anyone who awakens. When you discover crystals, it's like this whole other world, that you had no idea existed. And so in my journey of crystal evolution, many years ago, I came upon Tools for Evolution by Marcel Vogel. And I purchased my first tool for evolution, a Vogel, which was a triangular shaped piece that within it held the Star of David, or the Merkabah, but sometimes called. And to sacred geometry. I was birthed into like, what is sacred geometry, right? So through the many tools for evolution that I purchased and studying sacred geometry and beginning to work with Metatron, you know how one thing kind of leads to another. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, I discover something called an Andara. And Andaras come from the Sierra Nevadas. I believe they come from a few other places in the world also, but predominantly you're going to find them coming from the Sierra Nevadas. And when I started working with the Andaras, their energy and their vibration is much more specific and very different from any of the other crystals that I'd worked with. In my perception, an Andara is like, if you could take, it's shaped like a fish. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, it does. Beautiful fish.
I put it on my website. I called it Mermaid's Best Friend. Oh, an Andara to me is like, if you could take a ray of light and hold it in your hands, hold it in as matter, that's an Andara. They feel like a ray of light that has been materialized into some sort of matter. Andaras are monatomic, meaning they have one atom. So they are very specific. They are very concise, and they are here on Earth with the job to help elevate the consciousness of humanity up to, the next level, whether you call that fifth dimension or whatever you refer that to. Andaras have their own very specific personalities and mission on this planet. If you've ever held one or worked with them, you know that they feel very different than crystals we're used to. I believe that they were gifts from the Lemurians to the Atlanteans. to help them to remember their connection to source and to keep their vibrations high, because the Atlanteans came in it as fifth dimensional and above beings in third dimensional bodies. And the Lemurians were always like kind of out of the third dimension in their vibrational status. So I believe they were a gift to help them. And I remember the Andaras from going into fast life regressions, into the crystal caverns, the healing chambers under the Temple of Poseidon, and seeing these magnificent multicolored stones that lit up the healing spaces that seemed to have a source of light from within. Mm-hmm. At the time I hadn't met the Andaras, I had no idea what I was looking at. And the day that I came to Kauai, actually 8-9 years ago, and a friend of mine handed me an Andara, I went, that's what I was looking at. Oh my gosh, what is this, right? And so my journey with the Andaras began. Fast forwarding, moving to Kauai a couple of years later, I purchased a crystal infused sacred geometry clothing company, where the man who started the company was doing a 5 quartz crystal mix into the sacred geometry prints of organic clothing, which I thought was brilliant. Over some time, he decided he would sell it to me, which was very exciting. And then I shifted over from the 5 quartz to the Andaras and found out that the first Andara was found in the world in February of 1967, which is the year and month of my birth. So the Andaras and I are very, very aligned. We have a very close personal relationship. And since then, I have had the pleasure of stewarding out or adopting out many, many, many Andaras, not only in my clothing, but out to people in the world who are discovering them and kind of forming their own little obsession with the wonders of the Andaras. I've had the pleasure this past week to work with a lot of Aimee's friends and colleagues who are all amazing, amazing people. The conversations that are going on, like as we're like not even talking about Andaras, just talking about, life, have been very, conversations, the right conversations with the right people. When you find your tribe and you find those people who connect the dots for you and, help you elevate everything you're doing in life. Like it's been a very magical week, and I can only thank Aimee and the Andaras.
See, it's so amazing, right? And
Andara magic. It's Andara magic everywhere.
It is. I agree with you. I feel the divine energy. That's why I love wearing the shirts and also I wear the Andaras every day now. And I feel it buzzing on my hands the moment I hold them up. And I feel like it's aligned, like you say, with certain people. What I'm sensing is, as we're connecting the dots here too, is Aimee, right? You were talking about clearing, right? The golden light creation. You know what I've been doing? Energy clearing. This is exactly what I do, right? Yeah. Infinity this and infinity up and down. But here's the realization. We are crystals, right? So I think we are clearing the crystals within us. But I think each crystal has a role, right? Like the Andaras and every crystal, but somehow each one is activating each other, but also us. Right, thereby multiplying the effects. If this is a for certain use, right, and then these are for use, so there's an activation, I think, that happens. That's what it seems like, right, as we connect the dots together. Because I think after I got the Andaras, I started channeling right away, and I've been channeling like clear channel every day, right? But was before I was still trying to figure out my gift, like trying to figure out like whatever, right? Like a channel, like Archangel come through, and I would be like so happy. I'm like, whoa, right? But now it's like call direct dial.
I have clients who tell me I have never channeled or talked to a crystal before, and this one was talking to me the moment I saw it, and they're talking like I've never had that experience before. So there's definitely something to the consciousness and the level of communication they want to have with humanity.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that I believe that. And what I've noticed with the Andaras, I mean, I talk to all kinds of crystals. That's my normal daily experience. But what I've noticed with the Andaras is they seem to work with the magnetics of your energy field, and it clears out the riffraff. So it opens up a line of communication that has always been there, but they bring purity to that line of communication. So Lisa, you've probably always been a channel, but you didn't know because there was some debris, energetic, magnetic debris in your field. And the Andaras, they clear a pathway. That's what I've noticed about Andaras.
You're so spot on. So what happens is that when I felt called, right, to scan my body with the Andaras, I literally feel like there's stuck energy, like as you put it, in my field. And then so once we clear it, like literally, right, we become a clear channel.
Yeah, and we're all on like a time lock for information and gifts and things that we're supposed to know and do in life. There's a time lock. And when that time lock opens, because it's time for you to know and remember, I believe the Andaras are really facilitating. They're just clicking open everybody's, little time locks and past life remembrances, and you can do this and you can do that, and allowing us to access them.
Yeah. A time lock wheel. It's so funny because you and I, Ameera, use a lot of the same language because we're both Metatronic channels, but Metatron imparted this time. He showed me a time lock wheel. That's what he called it, the time lock wheel. And the time lock wheel works with magnetics. It's like when your magnetics shift, the time lock wheel can move.
Right.
So I believe that the Andaras help with that. They help kind of, I don't want to say push the envelope because nothing happens until we're really ready for it, but they help guide us to the magnetic resonance that we need to experience in order to open to our gifts.
Considering that Metatron is like the father of time and the Akashic record, like it all makes sense how it all works together.
Well, maybe the magnetics of the crystals are attracting us, because how I came into getting into crystal a lot, right? After talking with Aimee, of course I got really fascinated. And then one of my other friends also suggested that, she said, hey, since you do a lot of events, I suggest getting a clear crystal to wear around your neck, right? So that, you can amplify what you're doing. So I'm like, no, great, I'm going to go on a crystal quest, right? So literally on a Saturday, woke up, I'm like, spirit guides, just guide me wherever you want me to go. I'm gonna go. And I literally went on this crystal quest treasure hunt, and I ended up coming home with all these crystals, a lot of hearts at first, right? And a lot of crystal balls, and like I said, you just love them, right? They just called, and then so I felt so called by so many. They wanted to come home with me, so I bought a lot, and then all of a sudden, right, I have lots more, and literally they would if I don't take them home, I would feel like I gotta go back, right? And this one is another one I went back and got, and then when I got the Andara, somehow I think it pulled everything together, but I felt like they were calling us, right, to unite, right, to unite in a way that, so that we, when we're ready, I guess, right, then we have the tools, right, to use. I mean, talk about the fish, right? Maybe we should put some of our crystals together. I wonder if they'll sort this out. So this is a turtle that I bought. I felt so called to bring, it's a fluorite, this home. And it was at this temple. It was like as a donation, you can get it, right? So I was like, to me, and that fish, right, that you have, Ameera, that is so beautiful.
Yeah, and that's nobody made that, right? The earth made that.
Natural. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And I know, Aimee, right, you use a lot of Vogels too. How do you use that in your practice?
Okay, so the Vogel that Ameera was talking about, that's a special cut. I have one of those that I wear around my neck. And I use that for generating, fusing energies together. Like if I'm doing healing work on someone, I use it to fuse energies together. Now this is a Vogel. And this, it's very small, but it's gem quality. It's completely clear. and it is mega powerful. But this is like, it's like a distributor. It sends energy and it keeps that stream pure. So I use this, like if I'm doing long distance healing or even, close distance healing, I use it to target specific areas, either in the body or energy field. It's like a zap.
Like an acupuncture point from afar.
Right, exactly. It gets right. If I want to send this, if I'm sending energy to someone to their pineal gland, it's being sent directly to their pineal gland. So that's how I use that particular one. The Vogels are they keep the energy very coherent, which is what I like about it. Because, when you're using the quantum field and you're sending distance energy, healing, it's diluted by the time it reaches a person. I mean, unless you're really schooled in keeping those pathways clear, and it takes a lot of effort to do that, that energy really gets diluted. It'll get there and people will feel it, but it's diluted. But like my goal as a healer is to make sure that the coherence is maintained and the potency is maintained in that energy. So that's what I use those for.
Interesting. Wow, this is fascinating. I love how you're using it in your practice and in a very talk about intentional way, right? Really focused and intentional. Aimee, you were showing me some of the necklaces that you create. Can we see some of them? Because like I said, I'm feeling a lot of energy right now all around.
Right.
I think when we all see, right, we actually will maybe awaken something here.
All right. So I have a lot. I've spent.
Share what you're called to share.
Right? But like this one example. So this is and I've noticed too, like I've kind of developed another obsession with crystals, wearing them on my body. I feel like, having them next to me is one thing, but wearing it on the body, it's like the energy, especially when they're programmed, the energy then gets recirculated and distributed through your body constantly. So it's like a wearable energetic tool that will keep the energy flowing. So there's that. And this is like, these little beads are quartz and they're faceted. Okay. This is just a polished. And I tried to make them so they would sit, like the crystal point would sit right over a specific chakra, because that's important too. I mean, depending upon how the crystal is programmed, you can program it for you to receive energy, but then you could also program it to emit energy and do specific things for you. So I've tried to keep the programming really specific here. With these tools, and
that's amazing. Fun. How do you program a crystal?
Well, it took me a lot of years to figure that out. I mean, you have basic programming, which is really just setting your intent, holding the crystal and setting your intent. That's basic programming. But when you get into the more, here's a Labradorite one, Lisa. When you get into the more specific programming functions, it's like, I have programs that are like 100 pages that give directives of, okay, the energy goes here first, it moves here, what's going to get cleared out, but less than energy is going to stay, and then debris is going to leave it. It's complicated, but just a very simple way to program your crystals is to set your and talk to your crystal, develop a relationship with it, ask it to assist you. Of course, make sure you clear it first.
That's such a great tip. In the beginning, I didn't know that I had to clear crystals, and someone gave me some crystals, and I can feel my energy was a little bit off until I cleared it. It wasn't. That's a lesson I had to learn in the beginning. So
and you figure it out pretty quickly. But it's always nice to have tools, and it's nice to have tips. But the other thing to consider too is like the color of crystal. When you look at a crystal, like a rose quartz, for example, that visible light frequency, it's information. And the reason why it's the color that it is because of the mineral content. Well, minerals are like the record keepers of memories. So a person, they die and their remains go back to the earth, their memories get stored in the crystals. So the crystals basically, depending upon the mineral content of the crystal, it acts as like a library of information. So, because, you know, when you die and you go back to the earth and your energy gets distributed, and those minerals act like a categorization system for those memories. So, you know, like all the self-love memories may go to Labradorite, and, you know, all the healing memories may go to fluorite, you know, just that's very simplistic, but, you know, that idea, like they're the categorization system for memories. So then when you bring a crystal into your home, a pink crystal, you're actually bringing memories that are stored in those minerals into your space.
Wow. I love how beautiful they are. One thing I love to do is hold them up to the light, to the sun. And sometimes, especially quartz, right? You can see the all the facets within. And I mean, Mother Nature is so beautiful. It can create, right, so much beauty, like in a stone, in a rock, right? And that we love so much.
Yeah.
It's around the neck.
Well, that was a little heavy.
Yeah, it's a little heavy.
Wear it on your head, like a
Yeah,
crown.
right. Create a crown. Yeah. Ameera, can we see more of your Andaras? Because I think seeing it, I think
Sure.
that's what really like drew me in right away. Like,
Well, and I'll tell you what's coming in hot right now is the skulls. The
Aimee
Andara
likes
skulls.
like so.
And I have schools that are also not Andara, but the Andara skulls, and Anna Luna, who was on, was looking at this one yesterday. The skull, the Andara skulls are transferring knowledge and information at I'm going to just say it, like a higher, more evolved, more accelerated capacity than anything else that I'm working with right now. And it took me a while. My Andara partners had these skulls waiting for me for a while, and I just wasn't ready. And I realized I had to overcome my resistance to skulls. Like I had a little bit of like an aversion to the symbolism of death. And I had to really go into myself and go like, these are so cool. Why am I so having this aversion to wanting to bring these skulls into my home and work with them? So I had to really go into my own records.
Yeah.
I also work as a past life regression therapist and discover like where I might have like some death rituals or something I witnessed or was a part of that has created this program in me or this fear to the skull energy. And so when I reached in and I identified that and collapsed that for myself, all of a sudden their skulls are like, okay, now we can work with you. Now you can send us out to the world. And I actually like love them now. I'm so fascinated by them. And this is a cherry quartz that thinks it's an Andara because it's been sitting with Andara. You know how like sometimes a dog will feed a kitten?
Yeah,
or
yeah. And the
feed a
kitten.
dog, and that'll grow up thinking it's that animal.
Yeah.
This cherry quartz thinks it's an Andara because it's sitting around for many years with the Andara collection.
Yeah.
And so if you were a person who loved quartz or cherry quartz, you kind of get the best of both worlds within this one. So Aimee has picked up a couple of little mini, and did your skulls come? Yay!
Wow. Wow.
This is
That's an Andara?
It's been heat treated, so it's extra fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy. And this right here is Sophia Grace.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So they've been doing a number on my house.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
They are, I see grids popping up all over the place in my house.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I gridded the whole place, but
wow.
Yeah, and a couple of Aimee's friends have also purchased the skulls. And because they're all close and they network together, the skulls will continue to communicate and circulate and share, not only with the people, but with the other Andaras, because all these Andaras are coming from the same group. So they're all coming from kind of the same, they obviously they all have the same mission because they're going to, you know, the humans who have the same mission. So it's really exciting to be a part of like facilitating and accelerating, you know, this group of individuals who I really align with because of the work that they're doing, you know, and helping humanity in this really, you know, really phenomenal way. It's just a really great honor. And so some other things that are kind of fun is like I have this large gold ray
Beautiful.
Andara, and many of these, I have lots of them on my website, but a lot of these aren't even on my website yet. They're kind of
Like
sitting
your personal exclusive collection that we
well,
get.
and it's like I have too many, first of all, to put on the website. And also I know that some of these need to be held back and they need to go specifically to specific people. Like there's somebody waiting for them. So like I didn't list any of the skulls.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of them. I know they're like, there's somebody out here who needs me. So let me just sit and wait until that opportunity comes. The Syrian blue one that I held up before right now is kind of the one that I'm very obsessed with this one. I put it out yesterday to amplify the 7/7 gateway, the Syrian energy, blue ray light codes in it. And this one is like super, whoever this goes to, once I'm ready to let it go. Right now we're bonding really well. It's really this is going to be a piece that is going to be of really high service. I've been wearing
of a blue whale. It reminds me of a blue whale.
It kind of, well, and dolphins are from Sirius, supposedly, and I feel a lot of
dolphins.
I feel a lot of whale energy connected to Sirius also. So you're right on track. And remember, whales are the wisdom keepers. They create the grids and the oceans. This color is also close with a Metatron, the deep dark blue. So it's a very multi-layered piece. That whoever decides to take it home is really going to have a fabulous tool. I only lightly program, kind of like Aimee was talking about. I listen to them. They talk to me. I give them draw in a little bit more of an intention, but I really want the recipient to take it and do what is aligned with their mission, their calling, and the direction the Andara gives to them. And some will say Andaras don't need to be cleared. I don't really agree with that. When you receive an Andara from me, it will have my mana. It will have my energy because they come through me. I kind of consider them my children. So if you want to keep my mana or my essence with you, that's great. That's fine. And if you do not, then, the clearing techniques like Aimee showed and the reprogramming or the reintegrating, Andaras really can become like a blank slate and will allow you to ask them or to tell them what you need. And also they will tell you what they are designed to do.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've been asking each Andara and they gave me certain names, which is I guess they do, right? Like this is Blue Lotus. And I feel like it's almost like Archangel Michael's. Seal,
yes, exactly.
Right? So when I wear this, I feel the seal around me.
Right.
The blue ray.
I've been wearing this clear one right here. Right now, I am aligning with my sacred soul chakra, my 13th chakra, which is about mission and purpose and mastery in the world. So this is the drawing in of and the amplifying of that for myself as I move through my transformation. I really do recommend wearing an Andara. I have lots of different pendants and lots of different colors.
Right.
Buddha, the purple Buddha.
So beautiful.
Because there is something about, wearing them and keeping them next to your skin and on your body that that really does sort of accelerate everything that you are intending, or that is being intended for you.
Yeah, I love that. And Aimee, I love how you integrated, right? The necklace, because you creating, right, the necklace itself with more.
Yeah.
Right. It shows the love, right? That how much you value it. You know what I mean? So then all of a sudden, right, there's more reflections, coming through. Yeah, the other day I saw this glowing in the sun because the sun was shining. It literally was like glowing. It was like, wow.
Yeah, nice.
It was so beautiful.
So, and Andaras come in lots of different colors. This one was named Eye of Metatron. You can see the eye happening there in the middle. the wise eye of Metatron, it said it was. There are three kinds of elders.
Mhm.
There is the champagne elders.
For the energy.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, and the one of them that Dawn was looking at yesterday, the really big one, that's this color, that's a champagne elder.
Yeah.
And that is definitely an alien head.
It is.
Definitely.
I think you have to get that.
Wow.
Something coming through there. And then there are the shaman brown elders. And this
Well, that's
is
what Aimee, you have that, the bear, right?
Yeah.
a really unique one that has a lot of gold in it.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then oh, here's a seafoam elder there. So the seafoam elders come in from pure white like this to some greens, also some light green tones. And they are like the wise grandparents of the Andara family. They're the wisdom holders. They're really good to sleep with because they're not quite as jumpy as the colored ones. They're more soothing and grounding. And if you have an elder, it will actually kind of school all the teenage-ish colored pieces that are very, very excited to come live with you.
Yeah.
Is this the champagne one? Because I feel the energy from this is like, it spoke to me before
It might be.
I even knew that you had it. Remember when I
Mhm.
asked you, do you have any skulls? I'm like, there's an Andara skull that's speaking to me. It was,
Mhm.
I mean, this was one of them, but
Yeah,
it
it
feels
might
like
be
old.
because it's heat treated. It's
Yeah.
a little hard to know what, but
Yeah.
it feels like an ancient one. It feels more like the elder capacity.
I can feel it through right now. Very strong. So interesting. Ameera, you were talking about this aversion to skulls. I have the same thing as you. Like there's something about it that I'm like, no. But then it's so interesting to hear you talk. So what is the reason for then people's attraction to skulls as well?
Well, I think people who are very comfortable with death, first of all,
Yeah.
and comfortable with, I mean, I guess that's the way I could put it, is comfortable
Cycle of
with
life.
the symbology
Mm.
of death and rebirth. I'm going to call it death and rebirth because that's what schools are really are all about, is the transformation.
Yeah.
And that process from ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and then the rebirthing.
Mm.
And many cultures, like the Mexican culture, love their Day of the Dead. They're
Yeah.
very comfortable with those archetypes and with
Yeah.
that thought process. So and skulls really are fascinating pieces to learn about and to have teach you.
Mm.
And I also have an association with Yemaya, who is the goddess of the surface waters, but also her sister Olokun, who is the goddess of the deep sea. And she is always seen with fish bones. And she's kind of like the underworld priestess.
Yeah.
And I feel her calling me and wanting to teach me and talk to me, but my sort of aversion to death
Yeah. Yeah.
and all things, in that realm have kind of had me go, oh, we'll talk a little later, sister.
Yeah.
But now I feel that like that sisterhood and that drawing in and that ability to be that association with Olokun and learn the secrets of the underworld. Because it's not just about the love and the light and the whatever. It's also about the Scorpio energy. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, and the Scorpionity and the death and rebirth and the secrets and the shadows and the light. So the skulls are really helping me with that transformation and with that growth.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the wholeness again, right? Oh, when you, yeah. Wow.
So I drew years and years ago. Okay, I have been obsessed with skulls. Now, as a child, I had multiple near-death experiences. I was really a sick kid. I wasn't sure if I was staying or leaving. Like, I got very comfortable with death by the time I was 3 or 4 years old. So And that fear kind of left me. But I also had very strong memories of Atlantis. Like from day one, I would have recurring dreams about Atlantis. I didn't know it was Atlantis, but and I remembered, I mean, there were 13 skulls that basically powered the networks of Atlantis. And I remembered that. My husband, he's got 13 skulls tattooed on his body.
Wow.
We are both, and he didn't know anything about Atlantis or anything like that. When we reconnected, we were high school sweethearts and lost touch for 20 something years. But when we got back together, I was like counting. I'm like, how many skulls do you have tattooed? He's like, 13.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, there were 13 master skulls that powered the Atlantean crystal network. But those skulls, they were the perfect geometry. The geometries of the skulls, like the geometry of the human skull, tells the story of our existence. So I think there was a part of me that remembered that. And so I became very endeared to skulls. And then when I started working with energy, it was like, I felt like I was home. You know, when I connected with skulls, I was like, yeah, I'm going right back to the base, the root of the human energy field, the creation of, you know, humans, the recreation of the perfect human. That's what they represent to me. So I think, you know, we all have our own perceptions on this, but from the beginning, I've always been really attracted to skulls, and then crystal skulls. Forget about it. I'm like, I can't have enough crystal skulls.
Wow. I love this perspective, and I love our conversations here. I think you're right. We may have grown up certain perceptions or taboos, how we were taught, right? And also I think maybe other lifetimes. I know my
other lifetimes for sure influence.
Right? And then this lifetime. So letting go and having this awareness, right, to let go is important, right? But you're right? We have to embrace both the darkness and the light, because it both have to coexist, right? In balance.
Right. Well, you can't ever overcome the darkness if you don't know it.
Yeah.
You can choose to live in the light, but you have to know the dark you have to know, acknowledge, and accept the dark in order to overpower it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, or to integrate it.
Yeah.
I always tell people, sit down and have tea with your shadow. Have tea with those dark parts of you, and find out what they need. Find out who they are. Like, don't be afraid of that. The more you push something away, the more it's going to show back up.
So much wisdom. These conversations, right? This truly enlightening on so many levels that, you know, we're just like from the skulls, right? From the crystal skulls, and also the the collective wisdom within all of us here. Wow.
Don't love me. Don't hate
I love you now that I understand it more.
Yeah, right. It's like, you know, you can begin to kind of integrate like the possibility that you could be okay with a skull.
Yeah, you're right. Because I said, until you expressed it, Ameera, I have the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's something that, yeah, you're right. It's not my fear, actually. I think it's something else was
I have a pair of these little Labradorite skulls, and I just think they're so cute now. They're like a male and a female, and I'm just like, you're so cute.
Wow. Yeah. And I love learning more about, like, you know, like Aimee, you talk about like Atlantis, right? Using the skulls to power up, and the crystals, right, to power up. And if we can tap into, you know, the wisdom, right, back from then, right, and bring it forth now, you know, this is what it's about, right? And really truly learning it at a deeper level.
Truth.
So, like, for people who are starting out, let's say, right, on their crystal journey, like, what do you recommend, like, as a way to ease and with grace and ease? Yeah.
I recommend just going to a crystal store and having at it.
Yeah, let your
just be a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
And just whatever you are drawn to, whatever you're excited about.
Yeah.
Just like, don't take all barriers off it, and just have fun. That's the best way to immerse yourself in the crystal world. Just have fun and learn as you go.
Oh, I love that.
And then you'll figure out like what you need, like what actually is a useful tool to you, and
Yeah,
not what's just a bright, shiny rock.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Yeah. I've been wearing like jade, for a long time because in Chinese culture, right? Jade is something where I've worn this like my most of my life. And so now to add other crystals in, yeah, you're right. They do call. It almost like they keep calling. Come visit, come pick me up. And now that I'm just seeing more, right, from what you
I
just showed
know.
me, it's like, wow.
Well, Lisa, I've been doing lots of private showings. So you just holler if it's your turn.
Yeah, I love the private show. I feel like this is a private showing in a way, by seeing more of it. Hey, let's do an experiment. How about we bring whatever, why don't we do a test? We'll bring up some of Andaras together, right? Because now it's like with us, I wonder if there's something we can activate. You know what I mean? Between all of us. Can we see if we can feel the energy?
Like a wonder triplet power.
Yeah, exactly. Activate, right? Because like I said, I have these with me and I love them so much. Seriously, I just want to wear all of them together.
Yes.
I just want to walk around outside. I'm like, look at my crystals. Seriously,
In the candy store.
right? Right. So let's see what we feel like, whichever we're, and I'm just curious because right now that it's been with us for a bit. What is
This
that?
is yeah, that's a
No, right?
It's like glowing. Is that the source, how this was created, what you're holding?
That one's more pink. This one is more of a lavender.
Right? Wait, I'm gonna see what I feel. Yeah, I'm gonna hold this one because this one is
Yeah, there you go.
this one.
This looks like a star from the bottom. I just realized that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a star and it's a bear. So do you feel it? I'm feeling a lot on my hands right now.
Yeah, me too.
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
I'm feeling right in my thymus.
Maybe we can clear each other, right? Because you talk about clearing. Maybe we activate our princess, Princess Ameera. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Feel it?
Draw down that violet lavender ray.
The clearing, golden light of creation, right?
Bring in the
We're lighting up as well. You see? Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. Circles. My hands are literally magnetic right now.
Mm.
You see? Okay.
This is a Herkimer diamonds, the amplification.
Oh. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. All of them together. Activate. Seriously.
That's really, is that an elder, a seafoam elder?
No, this is, well, I call it a mermaid tail. I don't believe it's an elder, but it's that, that beautiful Atlantean green.
Yeah.
I love the dual colors. With that.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's something so beautiful when I see the colors, like to the point,
Yeah.
like so deep. Like I love this one too, like star, right? But like something about the shapes and somehow it glistens, right? You see, like
Mhm.
it glistens in a way that it's just like so beautiful.
Yeah, it's embodied light, like Ameera was saying.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Does this look like a seashell? Kind of.
Yeah. What kind of stone is that?
This is an Andara.
Oh, it is.
The one you sent me.
Oh, okay.
Not so many in
My
there.
Andara partner sent that to you.
That
I
No.
said, send her something special. And so that's what you got.
I love it. This, by the way, has helped with my digestion so much.
Oh, amazing.
I put it on my abdomen
Yeah.
and it's as soon as it touches my skin, if I'm having indigestion, it just goes away.
Yeah.
So it's a little sharp. I'm like,
It's so
ooh.
magical.
That's a little periwinkle heart.
Oh my God. See, it's so natural. Did they tell you their names? Because they all, I love their names.
I
Like,
mean, sometimes they do, but I really try to let the whoever's receiving them,
yeah,
because the Andara will give you a name
yeah,
that resonates with your energy,
yeah.
and they don't really care what you call them. They just want.
Yeah.
They just
Wow.
want to serve, they just want, and they really want to be personalized.
They do. This guy, he said George. I kept hearing the name George before I'd even got here. I'm like, George.
It's a very fitting name, George.
It's George. George. Well, and then he said King George.
Ah, see?
Okay.
King George, by the
King
way.
George.
I was like, King George is.
I love it. I love it. Wow. This is so amazing. Like, and seeing it's so beautiful. And the size of them too. I mean, just think how much magic, right, goes into creating such a big crystal. And the colors. I love the colors. Right?
Nature's amazing.
Your house must be amazing too, like feeling all the energy.
Yeah, it's fun.
So like, where do you see the crystal journey going next? Where do you see it as we awaken and ascend?
Are you asking me or Aimee?
Ameera,
Whoever.
first. You can do it first.
I think that crystals help us evolve. We help the crystals to evolve. Like the micro to the macrocosm relationship that we are forming and reforming all the time with the natural world and the organic timelines, and the dropping away of the inorganic timelines and the artificial. I feel like the crystals are really here to help us do that, to keep our symbiosis, our connection with nature, the natural world, and with each other, to keep those grids very, very strong. Elements, connection with the elements. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, Aimee, what about you? Like, what are you sensing?
Well, I feel like we're moving toward organic technology. I feel like the internet and this techno movement or technology movement has prepared us for organic technology. So, because everyone's used to the internet now and to crystals in their device that hold the information, I feel like a step in between moving to that organic technology, which I think that's how we're going to transfer information. That's how we're going to transfer energy and healing and power. I think that's what we're moving toward as we recreate this Atlantean crystalline network.
And the crystals are going to teach us to remember how to do that.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm sensing. I feel like the crystals were left to wake us up, right? And activate, like you're saying, clear us. I'm sensing that especially, right? Out of the star seeds, right? If we're meant to wake up, this is going to wake us up. And then we ourselves, right? The crystals within us will also light up.
Yes.
Right? When we light up, we connect this crystalline grid because look at our hands, right? We're at the crystalline grid. And then if we're then lined up with the earth grid, right? The light grid, right? Then we're going to make everybody up.
Well, and we're changing. I recently read an article. I can't cite the source, but it was 3 doctors who were basically looking at cadavers and looking at the brain, and they discovered new crystals growing in the pineal gland that radio frequencies. Like, hello, brain, please leave a message. Wow. Okay, so we're evolving and we're growing crystals in our bodies, which crystals communicate with one another.
Yeah.
We experience that. So really interesting where we're headed.
That makes a lot of sense, right? It's almost like updating our DNA, but also clearing our pineal gland, right? So that we can, that's if you think about intuition, right? It's tapping into the cosmos, and telepathy, right? Same thing, right? We're just using our pineal gland or the crystal. So in a way, if we become more crystal clear, right, within us, then our channel to, you know, to our higher self and, you know, the universe becomes a lot clearer, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, I've been guided to use the crystals a lot to clear my body, and I feel it so much that I feel like if we can clear everything that we don't need, kind of like anything that does not serve us anymore, like old programming, we can clear it out, then we fully come online. If we
Yeah.
fully come online, we're
Yeah.
going to attract more people that like us and more crystals. And then share it out, right, with everybody who will benefit from this. And then thereby we wake up everybody.
Yeah, and your Andara loves to be touched and handled and caressed, and so you're doing exactly the right thing. Like they love that. They just want to be like
Yeah.
handled and loved.
Yeah, I hold
like
them
they're a part of
together
you.
too sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did what I saw, right? Aimee was doing the crystal grid, so I use Aimee, right? The cards that you sent me. I actually put all
Yeah.
the geometry
That's good. Yeah.
around me, and then I'm like, oh, you know, I want to amplify, like, right,
Mhm.
tension.
Yep.
And it just feels so amazing. And then even wearing them, I discovered that our fingers are like connected to chakras and energy. So the reason I wear them now is because I feel like it, you know, especially when we're, you know, having events and things clearing, I feel like it also helps amplify, you know, different energies. Because if each of our fingers represent a different energy, it's gonna bring more, right, into more gifts into the space. So thank you so much. Thank you, Aimee and Ameera, for sharing your wisdom. This is amazing. I learned so much today, and there's so many dots. Like I said, I really think part of this coming together, it's somehow the energy, right? The crystals synced up, but the crystals within us synced up as well. It feels like an activation. That's what it is.
Yay.
It does.
Right?
It does.
Yeah. And yeah, and this morning, I think there's been an upshift. Like this morning, when I woke up, it was so bright. It was the color of this, like the sun was like this everywhere. And it was to the point, like, you know, I started sun gazing, right? I can look straight at the sun around sunrise. Today it was so bright. It was to the point I had to close my eyes and I looked through the crystals, and it's like it beamed through. When you beam through, like when I'm looking at like on my skin, like, right, it's like a gold scan. You know what I mean? Like you're just scanning your body with gold. I'm like, oh, right, like what you're saying, right? Your gold and light of creation. Like imagine like you can scan your entire body with it. Just like, you know, these net beds they talk about, right? Like you have this as an extra, you know,
Yep.
organic tool, right? And so magical. So magical.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting us all together. Thank you, Aimee, for your beautiful sharing and teaching me.
Thank you, Ameera.
Yeah, thank you. That was really nice. It was really nice to share that energy and just to connect with both of you today.
Blessings. Thank you. More activation, more sharing, and wisdom, enlightening conversations ahead. So have a beautiful day and enjoy all the crystal friends around you.
Aloha.
Ooh, thank you.
Aloha.